Welcome to Whiskey's a Journey. My name is Peter Fasciano. Today's journey, we're going to be taking a look at another straight rye whiskey. This time, we're looking at Pikesville Rye coming out of the Heaven Hill Distillery. Pikesville is the second straight rye whiskey, or the second rye whiskey in my series. I've got about a 10-week series running on rye. Let's go ahead and pour this, nose it, taste it, talk about it. And then if you stick around until the end, I'm going to give it a score. Pikesville Straight Rye Whiskey is coming in at 110 proof, 55% ABV. This is aged at least 6 years, and it has a mash bill of 51% rye, 39% core, and 10% malted barley. So this is the minimum amount of rye possible to be considered a rye whiskey. 750 milliliter bottle, and in Phoenix, Arizona, at the time I purchased this bottle, I paid $51.99. Go ahead and get this thing on the nose. This is a little bit more up my alley other than the Bullet rye. And I think this has everything to do with the rye content. Since this is 51% rye, 39% corn, the sweetness that's coming out of here on the initial nose is up my alley. Initially, I'm getting a sweet bubblegum note, followed by a pretty good amount of spice. And the spice is more along the lines of a pepper note rather than an herbal, minty kind of thing. There is a little bit of a floral note in here along with oak as well. Actually, this has my attention. This is pretty nice so far. Let's get it on the palate, see what we think. First sip. Whoa. All right, so that is completely different on the palate than the nose. This is hitting with a pretty good prickly, sharp, tangy, tannin, pepper spice. 100% this has my attention. Wow, I was not expecting this at all. That bubblegum note, the floral note, is not coming through on the palate. There is a little bit of a sweetness here, but I can't pinpoint that to a bubblegum. The ABV on the nose is coming through pretty good, 110 proof. Let's get that second sip down. That first one was really good. Let's get that second one down. Yeah, that second sip, a little bit more barrel coming through. The sweetness is now radiating. This has gone from like a spicy pepper note in the front, sweetness to the mid palate, a little barrel bitterness on the back end. Really, really good. I'm definitely enjoying this one quite a bit. And if you guys saw my last video, you know I'm not much of a rye person. That mintiness in rye comes across as too much for me, and this doesn't have that at all. It's weird. On the nose, you do, or at least I get that bubblegum note, but it doesn't show up on the palate. All right, third sip. Let me concentrate on the finish, see if I can actually pinpoint the sweetness. I'm gonna add some water to it, talk a little bit about Pikesville, and then give it a score. Here we go for the third sip. All right, this might sound a little strange. If I were to bite into a pine tree, but that pine tree was doused with sugar, I think that's what I'm getting on that third sip with the sweetness. The pepper is still there. That's what I initially get. It develops into sweetness in the mid palate, and then that piney note with a little bit of oak bitterness in the back end. The ABV is lingering, which is causing the finish to be medium to long. And I'm kind of digging that pine tree tinge to it. Pretty good. All right, let's go ahead and get some water into this, just because I add water to everything. See if it changes. Let this do its thing. And let's talk a little bit about Pikesville. So Pikesville as a brand started in 1895 in Maryland. This is considered to be a Maryland rye. And I think the Maryland rye versus the Pennsylvania rye just means that there's more corn content in the mash bill. Bullet was a 95.5, so it was 95% rye, 5% malted barley. This one is 51% rye, 39% corn, 10% malted barley. So there's definitely going to be a difference. And I don't think Bullet was a Pennsylvania rye. That was sourced from MGP, or Ross and Squibb. The history of this brand, they were being produced since 1895. The distillery ended up closing because of Prohibition. After Prohibition, this was acquired by two different distilleries. It was still contracted and distilled in Maryland. The distilling in Maryland ended in 1972, and then I don't necessarily know if they continued to produce or if those distilleries just shut down. And then in 1982, Heaven Hill purchased the rights and then started up the Pikesville name again in 1982, and it's been around ever since. All right, now that the water's done its job, hopefully, let's see if it changes the nose or the palate. Since this has a little bit more of a corn content, before I even smell it, I'm gonna kind of go off of what I think is going to happen. Because of the higher corn content, the lower rye content, I don't think this is going to become as spicy like the Bullet became spicy when I added water. But I'm not gonna know until I try it. So let's get it on the nose and see if anything's changed. All right, I'm getting a little bit more sweetness, but I don't remember it being that sweet on the nose to begin with. I still get that bubblegum note, maybe a little bit of a dusty note as well. Maybe that corn is coming through. A little bit of, I know this is not necessarily a note, but it seems to be a little bit creamy. Let's get it on the palate. All right, on the palate, same thing. I'm getting that sugary pine needle note. The fruitiness is there. Boy, I'm telling you, I'm having a hard time figuring out exactly what kind of sweetness this is. It's almost a cherry, strawberry, red fruit type sweetness, but the creaminess that's coming through might be a vanilla or caramel, or no, it's not butterscotch, like vanilla and caramel. Maybe small hints of brown sugar. Maybe that whole sweetness area is all of those things combined. Some red fruits, brown sugar, maybe honey, maybe vanilla, caramel. Whatever it is, it's good. There is a sweetness and it's good. Let's do one last sip and then I think I've got a score ready to go. All right, again, very rare that I finish an entire dram on camera. So this is probably gonna be no surprise for you guys. My rating system is out of 5 stars. This is definitely much better than the Bullet Rye that I had last week. And if you haven't seen that video, I'm gonna leave a card at the end of this video. After you watch this one, you can go back and look at that playlist. And if you're not subscribed to the channel and you like this information, subscribe. If you like this content, give me a like, share this with somebody in the whiskey world that might get enjoyment out of it. And with that, out of 5 stars, I am going to give this one 3.75. This was very surprising to me. 3.75, not being a very big rye fan. Today, in this review, this is coming across to me as a very drinkable rye. I'm very surprised. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below, between Bullet and Pikesville, which one do you prefer? Let me know what your thoughts are on rye whiskeys down in the comments. And I guess, with all that being said, enjoy your journey and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.